Charles Pickering, Pickering, retired federal judge. During my 60 years in public life, this is the worst proposed constitutional amendment that I have ever seen or heard of. Some have said that it is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I would suggest that it's worse than that. It's a monster in sheep's clothing. And I'll tell you why it's a monster. I'll tell you what the monstrosity is. First of all, this proposed constitutional amendment was not drafted by the legislature. It was drafted by big marijuana. And big marijuana is a $14.5 billion industry. And big tobacco has moved into big marijuana. And they drafted this proposed constitutional amendment. And how did they draft it? They didn't draft it for the purpose of promoting the health of people of Mississippi. They drafted this constitutional amendment to put money in their own pockets. And here's the thing that makes it a monstrous proposed amendment. First, it relieves them of liability. They are given immunity. So consequent, and how did they set it up? They set it up that you go down and get a doctor to certify that you're eligible to buy marijuana. And then you go to what they say is a treatment center. But that treatment center is no treatment center because there won't be any doctor there, there won't be any nurse there, there won't be any pharmacist there. They may hire some kid or anybody else without any professional training, and they'll just simply be selling marijuana. So their treatment centers are misleading. They're simply pot shops. They're selling pot. So it's a pot shop. And as they set this up, if your son goes down and buys some marijuana at this place, and it happens to be stronger than they intended that he should be taking, or if it happens to be contaminated and he dies, they have provided that you can't sue them for that. They're not liable for what harm they might inflict on you. So that is the first thing. They drafted it. Second, they protected it. They gave themselves immunity from liability. And then thirdly, they provided that they would never have to pay sales tax. Now, alcohol and tobacco, you go buy that, you pay sales tax, and these sales tax help take care of any damage that they might do. But with big marijuana, they provided where they'll never have to pay sales tax or compete with the liquor or alcohol. And then additionally, they provided it that they can't really be regulated. Now, I've heard them say on TV that it's highly regulated. That is a falsehood. That is a misrepresentation. There is hardly any regulation whatsoever. And another thing that they did show that they're misrepresenting, they sent out a brochure saying that President Trump endorsed this initiative. And that is an absolute blatant misrepresentation, and the Trump campaign called them out on it. Now, what the lack of regulation, the legislature can't say, oops, there's some problems out there and we want to address them. They can't do that because this is in the Constitution. Now, I take chemo, but chemo is not protected in the Constitution. I have 24 grandchildren. They have need of antibiotics sometime, but their antibiotics are not protected in the Constitution. In fact, there's not one single medicine, not one single product that is protected in the Constitution. So if this passes, this will be the first product that will have constitutional protection. And the liberal states of Colorado and California, when they adopted their laws, they provided that a county could opt out if it wanted to. Well, in California, liberal California, 2/3 of the counties have opted out. But if Mississippi passes this constitutional amendment, we'll have the broadest marijuana law in the nation because no county can opt out, no city can opt out, and the cities can't zone. Cities zone is where you put whiskey stores. But if this passes, they can put the marijuana shop, the pot shop, anywhere that you can locate any business. Anywhere a Dollar General store could go, they could go. So if they could go where any business can go, they could go within 500 feet of the schools and 500 feet of the churches. So now who opposes it? The Mississippi Medical Association, Dr. Horn has already spoken, the Mississippi Medical Association, Mississippi Hospital Association, the psychiatric doctors, the pediatric doctors, and more than a dozen other specialty groups of doctors have come out, and including the University Medical Center, State Health Department, Dr. Dobbs, all of these have said this is not a good idea. The Mississippi Association of Police Chiefs have come out into opposition, so have the Mississippi Sheriff's Association. The Farm Bureau, the Mississippi Realtors, Mississippi Baptist, Mississippi Pentecostals, and you heard Brother McCullum over here a few moments ago speaking out against it. So, who are you going to trust? The people who are trying to line their own pocketbooks, who spent millions and millions of dollars promoting this, and who drafted this amendment? Are you going to trust the doctors who provide your medical care and the law enforcement officers who provide protection for you? I suggest to you that it's not, that the answer is obvious. You follow the advice, the direction of the medical community and the law enforcement community, and vote no against both Initiative 65 and 65A, and then the second vote you get when you're choosing or saying what you prefer, whether it's 65A or 65B, prefer be for 65A and against 65. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Again, it's really a monster in sheep's clothing. Thank you.